few weeks ago, you watched me paint the cover of my new sketchbook, and today I'll be doing the next and final step of my new sketchbook prep, which is the first page, or the welcome page. I don't always make a welcome page for my sketchbooks, but I figured that since I already put so much effort into the cover, I just may as well. And it feels good to have a nice first page. I couldn't decide on what to draw, so instead of having like a very nice or impressive first page, I thought that I would have kind of like more of a welcome or an introduction page or something instead. So I thought it would make sense to have myself welcoming the viewer to my sketchbook. So yeah, this is how I've been drawing myself lately. It's my my kind of anime persona, if you will. I don't really have any distinct features like moles or freckles or just anything that would set me apart from like any other anime character. So I normally put most of my focus or the emphasis on my hair. Though the hair is technically not accurate at the moment because I have not had a haircut since around Easter, I think. So my bangs are very overgrown. So I normally have more like curtain bangs. I say normally, this is just in the past like year or two, I guess. My fringe has slowly but surely gotten shorter and shorter over the years, and I like the curtain bangs. So I took the like shape of my curtain bangs and I exaggerated the shape a little bit. But yeah, I do have a haircut in a week though, so soon I will have my curtain bangs back. Outfit wise, I ended up choosing some clothes that I've worn a lot over this summer, which is my blue striped shirt with a dress or a crop top. That's been my go-to this summer. Not lately, back when I first started this drawing, maybe, but it's been very cold and just really crappy weather here in Norway for the past few weeks, so I haven't worn that anymore. But that was my go-to, like, all summer long, because I did have a little holiday in Florida for about a month. I was with my partner in the UK for a while, and there it gets quite hot over the summer as well, so all summer long, I would wear like either a summer dress or like a little crop top and shorts, and then I would have like a tiny shirt with me that I could just easily throw on if I got a little cold. So yeah, I'll find a picture of it here, I guess. I felt like I had to be holding something like for the pose, and I kind of panicked and just chose a lollipop. A little bit out of character, don't know why I did that. Probably should have chosen like a pencil or a paintbrush or something more relevant. I don't know why I went with a lollipop. I don't know what I was thinking, but I ended up coloring it pink because there's one specific lollipop I used to get a lot growing up that was like cotton candy flavored, and I still think about it from time to time. I don't really eat lollipops like ever, so again, it's so out of character. I don't know why I did that, but at least it's a lollipop that I had a lot growing up. I sketched off camera. I don't really like sketching on camera because the sketch is always the roughest part of a drawing. And if I'm struggling with a sketch, I don't really want to be recording that. It just makes me more stressed about the sketch. And also normally when I sketch, I like sketching like on the couch or something, so I'll have my sketchbook in my lap. Can't really record that, so that's why I didn't record it. And also, there's just no point in recording the sketch because the pencil lines just don't show up on camera until like the end of the drawing when you've got like darker lines or harsher lines. So there's just no point. But I did make the sketch. And then I used a kneadable eraser to kind of lighten the lines, so I can obviously still see where to do the line art, but with the sketch lighter, so it's not so distracting. I used a brown micron pen to do the line art. I did try to record the line art, but I'm not using a lot of the footage because my head was in the frame the majority of the time. I do apologize for that. But also, I just don't think that the line art is all that interesting unless maybe I'm more zoomed in so you can actually see what I'm doing. I have explained this in a previous video, but the tripod stand that I have, I don't like it as much as the one that I've left in the UK, because that one kind of clips onto the table, and I can actually position my phone to record from straight above, which I think is the best for these types of videos. While the tripod stand that I have now doesn't really work like that. Like I can set it up on top of the table, it doesn't clip to it, but I can just put it on top of the table, but it can't record straight down, which is why I have this kind of awkward side view. Yeah, the only place to really position it to get the drawing centered in the frame is kind of farther away, so it's an awkward angle, and I feel like I'm recording from too far away from the drawing as well. And I do apologize. I wish I knew what that specific tripod, because I've had it for years. It's my oldest tripod, and I've been using it since the beginning of my art journey. But I have no clue what that type of tripod is called. I don't know where I got it. I don't know where I would get another one, but I love that thing, and I wish I could find a new one. Maybe I have to look a little deeper or look a little farther for another one. So I have one here in Norway as well. I did try to record the line art. My head is unfortunately in frame for the majority of the time. But maybe that would have been the case regardless, because I do hunch quite close to the paper while doing line art. So, I don't know, maybe that's just something that would have been a problem regardless. But anyway, onto the coloring itself, because the main part here is obviously the Copic markers that I'm using. So, I started on the skin. I like to start on the face, because that is the most important part of my drawings. I feel like if the face looks off, then everything kind of looks off. Like, if the face looks good, then that's all that really matters. I mean, it is a portrait, so yes, we are mostly just looking at the face, aren't we? Which is why I start on the skin, because say if I were to color in the dark hair first, and I get a little too close to the ink with my light skin tone markers, then there is a chance that it will just smudge. I've done that before. I have so much experience actually with just smudging dark colors all over the face. I hate it. That's why I start in the face. Unless I actually delve into the way I color and show you in real time, I'm not sure if I can really explain what I do. Something I've learned over the years with all drawing, not just with markers, but with any type of drawing, is learning how to combine, or when to use soft blending and when to have harsh shadows. And yeah, with markers, I like to slowly build up my shadows, so I'm working from the lightest markers down to the darkest. And that's just because I've had plenty of experience with going in too dark initially and then regretting it. And with markers, you can't exactly lighten it. You can go darker, you can't really go lighter though. You can't just paint over it. So everything you do is quite permanent, and that's why I like to slowly build up to darker colors to avoid it getting too dark. For the eyes, instead of shading with gray for the whites of the eyes, I like to use a light, dull purple or blue. And the same goes for anything that's supposed to be white or gray. I like to use dull purples or blues. I just think it looks more dynamic like that. I have hazel eyes. Mine are mostly a light green with dark green around, and then I have a brown ring around my iris. But I convey it a little bit differently when I draw hazel eyes, because it'd be one thing if it was a close-up of the eye and I can actually get all the detail, but since I'm not doing that, I have to kind of convey the hazel in a little bit of a different way. So I leave the lightest parts of the eye green, and then I just shade it with brown, so the brown will be the darkest parts. And I hope that this comes across as hazel. That's kind of just what I've been doing. And for the hair, this is the most time-consuming part, but it's also my favorite part. It's my favorite part to do, and I always think it's my strongest point in my marker drawings. I've always just really enjoyed doing the hair. So again, the key here is to work from light to dark, which is why this is such a time-consuming part of my drawing, especially when I'm coloring in dark hair, and I'm still starting off with a relatively light color, and I'm slowly building up the contrast, I guess. So I used my lightest shade to map out the highlights. So I'm just planning where the highlights will be, or where the brightest parts of the hair will be. And then I colored the rest in with the next color, and then the rest of the hair coloring is really just a series of flicking motions to kind of mimic hair movement, I guess, with slightly darker tones each time. If anyone's interested in a tutorial, let me know. The hair color might be a little bit off in the drawing, because I'd say I have more chocolate hair. I have really dark. I have quite dark hair. But it's definitely more on the chocolate side rather than golden. But I don't know, when I draw brown hair, I just always want to have these nice golden highlights. It's hard to shake off that habit. And yeah, otherwise, the only thing I have to say about this drawing is that the welcome, you won't be able to see it yet, but at the end of the drawing, I add a welcome. And the placement is a little bit awkward. I did make a thumbnail of this drawing in my old sketchbook, and there I had the welcome above the head. But then when I sketched this into my new sketchbook. Then I ran out of room on top, so I had to improvise. Yes, it's a little awkward, but it is what it is, I guess. And then the first page was complete. Of course, it's not yet for you guys, but it will be. So I'm using an Ohuhu sketchbook. I've never used any Ohuhu products before in my life, but I did get their sketchbook. And I'm very impressed with the paper. I do really like it. It handles the markers well without drying out the markers, because a lot of thicker paper will it just sucks out the ink of the marker, or it absorbs them too well, and then you end up just drying out your markers by using that. But yeah, the paper's good. I can't wait to try other supplies on it and see how well it works. Obviously the pencil, I made the pencil sketch, worked fine. I made the line art, so pens work fine. Markers obviously work fine. I would like to test watercolors or inks or something and see how that is. And yeah, there was minimal bleed through. You're always going to bleed through on the other side of the page. That's going to happen no matter what kind of paper you have. But there was quite little bleed through, to be honest, onto the other page. And I would assume that nothing would get through to the page underneath either. The sketchbook actually comes with a protective sheet, so I kept that under my page to make sure that nothing bleeds through to the page underneath. And yeah, it worked fine. I'm excited to keep using the sketchbook because it worked great. And I'd like to talk about the medium I'm using a little bit. I am using alcohol markers, specifically Copic markers. I know things are a little different now than from when I first became an artist as a child, like back in middle school and whatever. We're going back a few years now. But back when I first got into art, Copic markers was like the it art supplies. So I'm not sure if people here have been around the art community for long enough to experience that, but there was like an ongoing joke that all artists started off with either with having Copic markers or with desperately wanting Copic markers. Like, no matter what you use now, we all had that phase, or we all started off either wanting or having Copic markers. And yeah, it was definitely the most popular brand back then. I know there's been a lot of dupes since then, because they are very expensive markers. They've always been, probably always will be. We've gotten some like cheaper dupes now. I think Ohuhu is probably one of the most popular, cheap, but still good alcohol markers. I haven't tried them, so like I can't really speak for them, but I know that there are other marker brands out there that are now competing with Copic, but these were like the it markers when I was growing up. And for so many years of my life, like every birthday, every Christmas, the only thing I really wanted was Copics, which is why my collection is as big as it is. I don't have the whole collection, obviously. That would be expensive as hell. I would love to have that one day, though. But I probably have I think I've hit the 100 mark at least. I'm quite certain I have at least 100 markers. Copic markers used to be my primary art medium. Over the years, I have kind of moved over more towards digital art. But for the first, I don't even know how many years of my art life I spent using Copic markers. But that was what pretty much all of my art was before. And I study illustration now in London. So when I'm there, I leave my Copic markers behind in Norway. So I can really only use them when I'm home. And I just haven't used them much these past few years for a number of reasons. And ever since I came back for the summer, I've been dying to use them again. So I knew I wanted to start using them in my new sketchbook. And yeah, I want to make more Copic portraits before I leave. But yeah, I guess I'll talk about what I've been up to lately. I didn't post a YouTube video last week. In my last video, I did talk about how I had a surgery done on my foot. For 2 weeks, I had stitches in, and I had my foot was bandaged. I had to keep it elevated. I couldn't really move around. So for those 2 weeks, I didn't really go down to my studio all that much. It was just too much of a hassle. Again, my foot was bandaged. It had to stay elevated, and it was just too awkward to sit at my desk, with my injured foot, trying to like reach everything on my desk. And also, I just straight up didn't have the motivation for it. Like, I was tired. But early this week, I had the stitches removed. I can now walk like normal. So just doing things isn't a hassle like it was before. I can easily go down to my studio. So that is why I can now draw again. But that's why I didn't post last week. Yeah, also, I've been having a lot of like motivation issues for the past few weeks now, because I've explained this before, but I am so heavily reliant on the weather, and the weather has been so disgustingly bad for the past month, and it just it makes me tired, and it like sucks all the motivation out of me. Like, if there's sun, if it's nice out, like I wake up, like I feel rejuvenated, like I want to do things, I'm happy, I'm moving around, you know. And then when it's cloudy and gray and rainy and cold, I'm like, I don't really want to do anything. Actually, I'm really tired now. Yeah, that's just me and my inner battles, I guess. It is what it is. Two things I've been up to lately. Like I said, I've been housebound and practically couchbound for 2 weeks. I've watched and played a lot these past few weeks. So I think the only new things I've started watching since the last time I made a video about what I've been up to lately, I am rewatching Sherlock with my family. We've seen it before. Love that show. It is amazing. So we are rewatching it together. And I've started watching The Summer Hikaru Died. And I have not actually just sat and watched an anime on my own for a very long time. But it is so good. I hate that I am watching something that is currently being released and not something that is already out and finished. That sucks. I hate having to wait for episodes, but you know, it is what it is. So I got my friend to watch K-pop Demon Hunters, and she did. She loved it. And then she came back to me and she was like, since I watched this for you, I want you to watch this for me. So I started watching Summer Hikaru Die for her, and I love it. For games, I still play a little bit of Fall Guys with my partner. I can actually play on my PC now and not just on my Switch. Back when I was like still couchbound and everything, my sister actually started up a Minecraft server for me and her and my dad. So the three of us have been playing together a lot, which is kind of sweet. And other than that, I have started playing Split Fiction with my partner. Books. I've been working on the same book for, 3 months now? Which is Before They Were Hanged. It's the second book in, I think it's the First Law series by Joe Abercrombie. I was nearly 500 pages into it. I have unfortunately DNF'd it. If you're not a reader, DNF means like did not finish, meaning I just quit it. I'm not gonna finish it because there was one scene in there that was so outrageously out of character, and like it irked me so much I just couldn't continue it, which breaks my heart because I was 500 pages into it, and now it's not even gonna count on Goodreads because I'm not gonna finish it. Like, I'm not reading another 200 pages when it's already pissed me off. Like, I'm done. But I am working on King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo, and I have yet to read a book by her that I didn't like. It's in the Grisha verse, so before reading King of Scars, you kind of have to read first the Shadow and Bone trilogy, and then the Six of Crows duology. And these are great books, honestly. I recommend all of them. Other than that, I have started on The Kiss of Deception, which is in the Remnant Chronicles series, because I'm still trying to get my sister to finish Throne of Glass, and she has said that she will continue if I start reading The Kiss of Deception, which is like one of her favorite series, so we're kind of like swapping books here. And that's it. That's what I've been up to lately. Otherwise, for projects, I did do a Draw This in Your Style challenge. I didn't record it for YouTube, so if you want to see it, it's gonna have to go to my YouTube shorts or to my TikTok, my Instagram, to see it on other platforms, or short form platforms, I guess. That's all I really have to say for today. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more sketchbook stuff, more Copic marker stuff, anything specific, let me know. And yeah, I'll see you guys next Sunday.